If you're trying to eat a low carb, healthy lifestyle, what do you do with the holidays? There's a couple of different perspectives or way to manage the holidays, the parties, and I wanted to dive in about how I approach the holidays to help me stay on track, stay positive in my mindset, and also just enjoy being a healthy mom. So let's get into it. Hey there, and welcome back to my channel. If you love low carb recipes, tips to help you stay on keto, lazy keto mom life, you are in the right place. I'm Angela of GrassfedMama, and if you like videos like this, make sure that you hit the subscribe button and like this video. So I've been on this healthy lifestyle journey for over 13, 14, 15 years now. It started as more of like a whole food journey, which really changed my whole perspective on food and how we eat as a culture. And I threw out 80% of my pantry. Well, life got crazy. I feel like mom life just throws you in a whole different world. But what really changed my diet the next time was when I was pregnant and I got gestational diabetes. And so I had to think about food, not just in a whole food perspective and how we feed our body the right way, but also how my body was reacting to the food I was eating. So even if I was eating a sweet potato, it would spike my blood sugar and make me feel awful. And so I was eating all these healthy foods, but I had to realize it wasn't just what I eat as far as where it came from, but also the macros, the carbs, and all of that. But I want to make it easy for you because, if you want to make this a lifestyle, it has to be easy, it has to be simple, it has to be something that you do every single day and through every single season. I get a lot of comments about, oh, keto is just a fad. Well, I certainly didn't start on the keto diet. I started as a low carb lifestyle through my pregnancy, and then after my baby was born, I was like, okay, this has to be a lifestyle, because if I had gestational diabetes, that means that I'm more prone to developing diabetes as an adult as I get older. And so that's whenever I made the decision that I was going to be carb conscious. But what's great is that because of the keto lifestyle and how it's taken off, there have been so many more conveniences and things that make it so much more simple to make it part of your daily life. And so it doesn't have to be as hard as it used to be. And that's a win. So I do believe that there can be some instances where, this is a lifestyle. And so that means that sometimes we want our life to fit in, not so much our diet to rule our life. I know at first I made a lot of probably the wrong choices. Like I said, this has been a long journey for me, over 10 years. And there have been some points in my life that I chose my food over my friends. I chose not to go to the party because I knew it would be hard to not eat certain foods. And I feel like I made the wrong decision back then. I'm also an introvert, so it's probably easy for me to come up with excuses to not go over to a stranger's house or to hang out with a whole bunch of people. But I believe that you should live your life to the fullest, but you should also make your life healthy too. Like, you can make healthy choices even throughout the holidays. So I wanted to talk about that. There's a couple of different ways that you can approach the holidays, and you can make that decision yourself. I don't believe there's one right way. I'm gonna let you know what I do, and maybe that can help you. I do want to say, for the past 2 holidays, I haven't gained weight over the holidays, and I think that's your number one goal. You don't want to set yourself back. I don't care if I maintain, at this point in my, I'm not really here to lose weight at this point. I don't want to gain weight, but I'm not really on a weight loss journey, even though if I lost like 3 pounds, that would be great. But this is really more of a lifestyle change for me, and so I do it because my long-term health goals. But this lifestyle helps people lose weight who want to lose weight, and I love that because I want women to have more confidence, and I want it to be easy for them to reach their goals. And so that's why I share recipes that I'm making, and I also want to talk about things like the holidays. So one way that you can approach this is just say, okay, for the whole month, I'm not gonna eat keto. And I feel like that is, I hear that a lot. I do, and sometimes I'm just like, really? Because I feel like if it is a lifestyle, you don't have to throw your hands up in the air and just say like, I'm keto or I'm not. So that's why sometimes I like to say I'm carb conscious, because I don't feel like I can ever just throw out everything that I know about food and how it affects me negatively, how it affects my brain fog, how it affects the way that I sleep at night. And so whenever I hear it from people, and if this is you, I'm really not trying to be negative. I just want you to think maybe a different perspective. But I hear this from a lot of people that they're just like, I'm just gonna quit it for, the next 2 months. I'll see you in January whenever I wanna get back on track. So if that's you, maybe the next thing that I share is maybe a compromise for you. And that's kind of how I approach it. But so let's get into the second way to approach keto and the holidays. So the next thing is to be strict keto. And whenever a couple years ago, that's what I would have done. I would have gone to a family gathering. I would have made certain foods that I knew I could eat, and I would eat what was on plan and not eat what wasn't on plan. It just made a lot more work, but then also and I did feel good in the sense of, and there was like, whenever I make something keto friendly that's not traditionally keto friendly, I take a lot of pride in that, because I'm like, wow, this was so good. Like if you make a keto pie and somebody who's not really doing keto is like, oh, this is good. Like that's a win for me. And so I like doing that. But at that point, there are some family favorites that are hard to make keto, or maybe somebody else traditionally makes it and they're not going to change their recipe, and so you're choosing not to eat that. And so it can leave you feeling deprived, just because there is a big relationship with food and family and celebrations and memories. And so sometimes, and you just have to figure out if it is an emotional thing for you, but if you're going to leave your family gathering feeling deprived by not taking part in some of your family favorites, then you may not want to do a strict keto where you're just like, I'm gonna stick to it, I'm not gonna cheat. I just feel like it sometimes can set you up for feeling deprived and maybe lacking something. So I just wanna talk about that if you've ever felt that way. The third thing is more like what I do. And so it's kind of a compromise between, just throwing your hands up and being strict. So what I traditionally do now is I kind of look at my calendar and think about, okay, how many family gatherings am I gonna have? And on my family gathering list, it's really just 2 in November and maybe 2 or 3 in December. So it's not like a whole week of even parties. And so that might be different for you. So you have to think about it in that way too. Like if you have 2 weeks of family celebrations and office parties and different things like that, then this may not work for you. But if you have a limited amount of parties, then I feel like you can go into those gatherings being carb conscious. And what that means is that you're gonna make the conscious decision, you know what has a lot of carbs, and try to stick to a moderate carb maybe meal. So you know what to fill up on, you know what has healthy fats, you know what has fiber, you know what has the protein that you want to fill up on. So thinking about it in that way. And then what I would say is, like on Thanksgiving, there are family favorites that I'm not gonna miss out on, but I don't make it a week-long celebration. It's one day. And then what I've learned is that even if you're fat adapted, that means that you're already in ketosis, you've been eating the keto lifestyle for like 3 months or so, you can handle carbs maybe better and get back into fat burning mode better than somebody who hasn't been eating keto for a long amount of time. So thinking about that puts you in kind of a different category, because you can handle one splurge meal and be able to get right back into ketosis quickly because your body's fat adapted. And what I've learned recently is this carb cycling, so that you can kind of go back and forth. So like if you eat low like keto, strict keto, low carb, low carb, low carb. So 3 days in a row of low carb, your glycogen is depleted, and then you can eat moderate carb, and then the next day go back down. And so you're not spilling over your glycogen where you're going to be storing the carbs as fat. And so you can think about it that way, that you're going to have a moderate carb day, make sure your next day, goes back to eating high fat, low carb, and then you can kind of moderate like that throughout the whole season. But you can learn more about carb cycling, and that might help you throughout the holidays whenever you know that it's a lot harder to be strict keto. And then, like I said, if this is a time where you're just a little bit more moderate carb, then just choose wisely. What is the most important for you? Do you want to save your carbs so that you can enjoy dessert? Do you want to save your carbs so that, there's certain foods that your family always serves? So just think about it that way, but don't go overboard, and make keto friendly recipes that the whole family can enjoy. So maybe one dessert is keto friendly, some sides and everything are keto friendly. Obviously a lot of people fix turkey, and so what's great is that you can fill up on the meat. And so there's lots of recipes that fit into a keto lifestyle. We love deviled eggs. I just shared that on my channel. And that's something that is always at our family celebrations. So think about foods that fit into your lifestyle, but then you can leave some room for moderate carbs so that you can get right back on track. You don't feel like you just threw your hands up in the air and that you feel like you have to completely restart, but it also helps you feel empowered and not like that you're being controlled by your environment and your food and everything. And I feel like that's something that really helps. Like if you make the conscious decision so that you don't overeat and you don't indulge too much and then you feel guilty the next day, if you make the conscious decision like, okay, I'm going to enjoy this, or I'm going to split this, or I'm going to take a bite of that, but it's all, you're in control, the food's not controlling you. And I feel like that has helped me a lot. So I hope that this maybe gives you a different perspective of how you can do keto through the holidays. I want to know how do you treat the holidays with your keto lifestyle, low carb lifestyle? What are some of your favorite recipes? I want to know, and so I want to hear from you.
Thank you guys so much for listening to this episode. I hope that it encouraged you that you can stay healthy and stay on track throughout the holidays. And if you want some more resources, check out the show notes or the description below, because I have some freebies to help you stay on track, some recipes, also some products that I recommend that I use. Fat Fighter, Carb Control is another one that I use to help me when I do splurge, get right back on track so that I can stay keto friendly throughout the holidays without the stress.